Hi, I'm Sue Tiger from Tiger Gardens. Happy New Year 2025. Today we're making butternut squash soup. And I'm testing the theory, is homegrown better than store-bought? This is going to be a series of mine in 2025. So I'm going to make butternut squash soup so we can have it on the table at the farmer's market starting in May. And I'm going to cook it two different ways. Secondly, we're going to slice and dice this large butternut squash into large dices and small dices and some grated squash too. That way we'll taste more of the butternut squash. So we're going to compare those then against our store-bought versions. And now we're going to slice and dice the large butternut squash. All right, this has been cooking about 45 minutes now. So we need to stir it and then taste it because these big chunks, we need to make sure they're soft enough. So now the squash is soft enough, but the soup is pretty runny. So I'm going to put a little bit of it through the Immersion Blender. There, just enough to make it thicker, but yet you can still see great big chunks of the butternut squash. This is perfect, and it is entry number 2. Entry number 2, this is homegrown butternut squash, diced, peeled, and cubed so that you can see big chunks of the fruit, but the soup is pretty thick. This is entry number 2. And now we have come to the scientific portion of our theory. This is our taste test. Our first 2 entries come from homegrown butternut squash, and then our other 3 entries are store-bought versions. So let's go through our entries. I gotta tell you, I kind of know right now what's going on. Our first 2 entries look fabulous, And then our store-bought versions. Look at number 5 here. That's kind of watery and oily. But I picked the leading brands. So let's try them out. This is entry number 1. Homegrown butternut squash that we baked in the oven for an hour with olive oil and some other vegetables, then added our spices and used the Immersion Blender. You can see the vegetables in here and you can taste them as well. There's a lot of texture even though we use the Immersion Blender. That's very good. Entry number 2 is also made with homegrown squash, but we peeled it first, diced it, and cubed it, and then cooked it for 45 minutes with turkey broth. So it was more of a broth soup, and then I used the Immersion Blender a little bit to thicken it up, but you can still see the very thick pieces of butternut squash. So let's taste this. So it is a little bit different texture than the baked homegrown squash. This is a little bit smoother, and this is a little bit, this is more, I can taste the squash more. I like that. I actually like that. Outstanding. Okay, here goes. This is entry number 3. It's Campbell's soup. Well, yes, this is a leading contender at the grocery store. That is not good. That is pureed quite a bit. I can't really tell if it's just butternut squash. I'm not a fan. Let's try number 4. This is also Campbell's. I don't know why I got 2 Campbell's when I got this for this taste test. Not sure why. This is plant-based or something. I don't know. Can't be that much different. That's a little bit better, but still, you can't see any vegetables or butternut squash even. Very bland. Okay, now this, I get rewarded for this. This is Amy's Organic Soups. It's oily, watery. I didn't add anything to it, I promise. I promise. I'm going to try it. No, it tastes oily and watery. So, the winner is entry number 2, homemade butternut squash that's peeled and diced and then made in a broth with turkey broth and then pureed just a little bit with the Immersion Blender so that you can taste most of the squash. Entry number 2 is the winner.